Today, we're digging into Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's famous for shaking things up when it comes to money.
Definitely has a unique perspective.
So our mission, if you will, is to nail down its core ideas, the ones that suggest a fundamentally different way to think about wealth.
And it kicks off right away with this stark contrast in beliefs. You know, the old saying, the love of money is the root of all evil.
Sure, everyone knows that one.
Well, this book flips it. It argues the lack of money is the root of all evil. That immediately sets a different tone, challenging how we usually think about money's place in life.
It really does. And it goes further, right? It claims most financial learning happens at home.
Which makes you pause and think,
Yeah.
okay, if parents are struggling with money, what exactly are they teaching their kids?
Good point. And it highlights how schools, they teach you skills for a job, but often miss teaching basic money management, practical stuff.
The implication there is pretty interesting, that you could be highly educated, professionally successful, but still lack fundamental financial know-how.
And the book kind of hints that this gap in knowledge could even play into bigger economic problems like national debt.
It does suggest that. Then it gives you this mental fork in the road, captured in just two phrases: I can't afford it,
Right, the immediate shutdown.
versus how can I afford it?
Okay. That second one, it feels totally different. It opens up possibilities instead of closing them down.
Precisely. It shifts you from accepting a limitation to actively searching for a solution.
Yeah.
It's about
Yeah.
being proactive, which is, central to the whole philosophy here.
Yeah, it's problem solving versus just stopping.
Exactly. I can't afford it, ends the thought. How can I afford it? Forces you to think, to get creative.
It even challenges the classic career advice, study hard, get a good job.
Right. Work for a good company.
But the book suggests maybe you should study hard so you can find a good company to buy.
Whoa. Okay, that's a huge shift. It reframes the whole point of education, doesn't it?
It really does, from employee thinking to owner thinking.
It's about moving from trading time for money, your salary, to potentially leveraging assets that make money for you. That's a core idea.
And that ties into how it looks at risk too, right? Not just avoiding it.
Yeah, instead of just, running from risk, the idea is to learn how to understand it, assess it, manage it effectively.
Which makes sense. Avoiding all risk means missing opportunities. It's about being smart, not just scared.
Or reckless, for that matter. It's calculated. And all this builds up to a really powerful statement in the book, that financial education is actually more powerful than money itself.
Say more about that.
Well, think about it. Money can come and go, right? But the knowledge, how to make it, manage it, grow it, that's a skill set.
Okay. That stays with you no matter what the economy's doing.
Exactly. It empowers you. So let's get into the first big lesson the book lays out. The rich don't work for money.
This feels like the absolute heart of it, moving away from just earning a paycheck.
To building systems where your money generates more money. Your assets are doing the work.
The book puts it bluntly. If you want to be rich, you have to learn to make money. Use your head.
It's about mental effort, not just physical labor or hours clocked in. And it stresses action. Lots of people talk about wealth, but you have to actually do something.
Like that quote, "You're only poor if you give up. The most important thing is that you did something, even if it doesn't work out perfectly the first time."
That willingness to act, to try, even knowing you might fail. That's key. Failure is part of learning.
And it connects to that idea that life pushes everyone around. The book suggests maybe, just maybe, you're the problem in your financial situation.
Which sounds harsh, but the point is about self-awareness. If you realize that you're the problem, then you can change yourself, learn something, and grow wiser. It's about taking responsibility.
Okay, so lesson one boils down to the poor and middle class work for money, the rich have money work for them.
That's the fundamental distinction it draws. Trading time for dollars versus owning income-generating assets.
And this is where the rat race comes in, that cycle of working just to pay the bills.
Yes, exactly. Driven often by fear of not having enough, fear of losing the job, that kind of thing.
And desire, too, right? You earn more, you spend more.
Often, yes. The book notes offer them more money, and they continue the cycle by also increasing their spending. So you're working harder, but not necessarily getting ahead financially.
Like being on a hamster wheel.
Pretty much. So the escape, according to the book, starts with changing how you think. Stop seeing the paycheck as the only way.
And when you do that, you start noticing other possibilities. opportunities, maybe.
That's the idea. Opportunities that people stuck in the need-a-job mindset might completely overlook. Your mind opens up.
Okay. That flows naturally into the second lesson then. Why teach financial literacy?
Right. And the core message here is really simple but profound. It's not how much money you make. It's how much money you keep.
Net versus gross, essentially. A big salary doesn't mean you're wealthy.
Exactly. Keeping it, growing it.
Yeah.
That requires financial literacy. Understanding the rules of the game.
And the book introduces that fundamental concept. Asset versus liability.
The absolute cornerstone. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. And the goal is simple. Buy assets.
But it's not just knowing the words, is it? It's about the numbers.
Yes. You have to understand what the financial figures are telling you. Can you read a basic financial statement? That's crucial to know if something is truly an asset or just looks like one.
Because without that, you're just guessing.
You are. And the book warns that just getting more money doesn't fix bad financial habits. It often just amplifies them.
Like the lottery winner example. Get a windfall, but if you don't know how to manage it...
Poof, it's gone.
Yeah.
The money exposes the lack of financial skill.
Okay, this leads to that potentially controversial point about owning a home. The book questions if your house is really your biggest asset.
It does challenge that common belief, especially for the middle class. And the reasoning is interesting.
What's the argument?
Well, for most people, a house means a mortgage. You're paying the bank, often for 30 years. Then property taxes, insurance, upkeep. It constantly takes money out of your pocket.
So even though you own it, it's functioning more like a liability in cash flow terms.
From a pure cash flow perspective, yes. Plus, houses don't always go up in value, or not significantly.
And all the money tied up in the house, your down payment, the equity, that capital isn't working for you elsewhere.
Right. It could potentially be invested in things that do generate income, actual assets.
Yeah.
That's the opportunity cost the book highlights.
It paints this picture of the classic middle-class cash flow pattern.
Yeah. Income goes up, great. But then expenses go up, maybe a bigger mortgage, car payments, liabilities increase, but the asset column doesn't really grow much.
So the money flows through you to others rather than accumulating for you.
That's the critique. Which brings us neatly to lesson 3. Mind your own business.
Okay, not like stay out of my affairs, but something different.
Haha, yeah, not like that. It means understanding who you're actually working for. The book argues most people work first for their employer, then the government via taxes, then the bank via their mortgage or loans.
Before they ever really work for themselves financially.
Exactly. So secret number 3 is focus on building your asset column. That's your real business.
Distinguishing between your profession, your job, and your business, meaning your income-producing assets.
Precisely. Your job pays the bills? Maybe. Your business builds your wealth. If you're a teacher, that's your profession. If you own rental properties on the side, that's your business.
And the warning is not to get so wrapped up in your career that you forget to build that separate business, your assets.
Right. Don't just climb the corporate ladder. Build your own financial foundation simultaneously. Your profession gives you earned income. Your assets give you passive or portfolio income.
What kind of things count as real assets, according to the book?
Things like businesses you own but don't have to actively run day to day, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, real estate that generates rental income, notes you hold where people owe you money, royalties from intellectual property, basically anything that produces income or appreciates in value and you control.
Okay. And again, the emphasis is on teaching kids this difference early.
Absolutely. So they start thinking about acquiring assets before they get weighed down by liabilities like student loans or consumer debt.
Got it. This connects to lesson 4, which sounds intriguing. The history of taxes and the power of corporations.
Yeah, this one offers a perspective that might surprise some people. The book claims the rich aren't always the ones paying the highest percentage in taxes. Often, it argues, it's the educated upper middle class.
How does it explain that?
It gives a bit of a history lesson. Taxes were originally intended more for the rich.
Right.
But as government spending grew...
The need for revenue increased and the tax net widened.
Exactly. It eventually fell more heavily on the middle and upper middle classes.
Yeah.
And the book points out that the wealthy often learn to use the legal structure of corporations to their advantage.
How so?
By understanding the rules. The book introduces these 4 key areas of what it calls financial IQ: accounting, investing, understanding markets, and the law.
Okay, so knowing these allows the rich to structure things differently.
Right. To operate within the legal framework using corporations, for example, to potentially manage income and expenses in ways that can lead to lower effective tax rates compared to someone just earning a salary. It's about understanding the system.
Not illegal evasion, but legal optimization using financial intelligence.
That's the idea presented, which leads into lesson 5. The rich invent money. That
Well,
sounds almost magical.
haha. Well, maybe not magic, but it's about creativity and courage. It stresses that financial success isn't just about technical skill. You also need the boldness to act, to innovate.
So knowledge plus action.
Yes. And it argues that fear, especially the fear of losing money, can really paralyze people and stop them from seeing or creating financial opportunities.
It stifles that financial genius, as the book puts it.
So the message is to learn to take smart, calculated risks. Think outside the conventional box.
Exactly. Be resourceful. See opportunities where others see problems. Which brings us to the last main lesson. Lesson 6. Work to learn. Don't work for money.
This sounds especially relevant for younger people starting out.
Very much so. The core idea is that early in your career, the skills and knowledge you gained are way more valuable in the long run than just chasing the highest starting salary.
Because those skills build your foundation for future wealth.
Right. The book emphasizes that real financial intelligence comes from combining skills knowing about accounting, investing, marketing, law, how businesses actually work.
So aim for jobs that teach you the most, even if they don't pay the most initially.
That's the advice. Focus on long-term skill development. Gain a broader understanding of business rather than becoming hyper-specialized in one narrow area, unless it's a field with strong protections, like a union job maybe.
What skills does it specifically highlight?
Key management skills. How to manage cash flow, absolutely critical. How to manage systems, making things efficient, and how to manage people.
And it also stresses being a good learner and a good teacher.
Yeah, the ability to constantly learn is vital, and being able to explain concepts to others actually deepens your own understanding. It reinforces the knowledge.
Okay, so those are the main lessons, but the book also talks about overcoming common roadblocks, right? Mental hurdles.
Yes, it does. Big ones. First is fear. Fear of losing money, fear of failing.
Which stops people from even starting.
Totally. But the book reframes failure. It's not the end. It's a chance to learn. Successful people, it argues, aren't afraid to fail. They learn from it and adjust. They see setbacks as temporary.
Makes sense. What's another obstacle?
Cynicism. That attitude of doubt and criticism towards anything new or different.
Like dismissing an investment idea without really looking into it.
Exactly. The book says cynicism blinds you, while analysis critical thinking helps you see opportunities. There's a difference between healthy skepticism and just shooting everything down.
Okay. What else?
Laziness. Just not wanting to put in the effort. The book suggests countering this with a bit of healthy greed, not negative greed, but a strong desire for something better, something that motivates you to get off the couch.
A strong why, maybe.
That's related, yeah. And finally, bad habits, specifically arrogance, thinking you know it all.
The ego plus ignorance definition.
That's the one. A closed mind stops you from learning, and in finance, that can be incredibly costly. You have to stay curious and keep learning.
So for listeners hearing all this, maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed, what are some practical first steps the book suggests? How do you actually get started?
It gives some clear starting points. First, find your why. A really strong personal reason for wanting financial independence that's bigger than just wanting fancy things.
Something that keeps you going when it gets tough.
Exactly. Then, consciously choose to invest time and maybe some money in your financial education. Read books, take courses, listen to podcasts like this one. Make it a priority.
It also mentions choosing your friends carefully.
Yeah, surround yourself with people who are also learning about money or who have achieved what you want to achieve. Learn from them. Be inspired by them. Avoid the cynics, maybe.
Good advice. And master one formula first.
Right. Don't try to do everything at once. Learn one strategy, maybe basic stock investing or analyzing rental properties, get good at it, then learn another. Baby steps.
And the classic, pay yourself first.
Crucial. Before you pay bills, before anything else, set aside money for saving and investing. Make it automatic if you can. Treat your savings goal like it's your most important bill.
It also talks about working with professionals like brokers.
Yes, but understanding how to work with them. Know enough to ask smart questions and evaluate their advice. Don't just blindly hand over your money. Learn to leverage their expertise.
And embrace that idea of assets generating income, getting something for nothing in terms of your active time.
Yeah, finding ways for your money to start making money, even small amounts at first. It builds momentum and changes your mindset.
Use assets to buy luxuries, not debt. That's a big one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Want a new car? Build an asset that generates enough passive income to cover the payment, rather than just taking out a loan against your future salary.
Find heroes, learn from them.
Find people who've succeeded, study what they did, history, biographies.
And finally, teach others.
Yeah. Teaching reinforces your own learning. Explaining assets and liabilities to someone else forces you to be clear in your own mind.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, the core message of Rich Dad, Poor Dad seems to be get financially literate, understand assets versus liabilities in your life, and shift your focus from just working for money.
To making your money work for you. Building that asset column.
It's definitely a specific viewpoint, one that pushes back hard against a lot of traditional financial advice.
Absolutely. It's meant to make you think, to question the path you might be on.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on, drawing from these ideas. Think about the standard financial path you've been taught or maybe followed. What's one key assumption, just one, that these rich dad concepts really challenge for you? And what might change, even hypothetically, if you started looking at your financial decisions big and small, primarily through that lens of, is this an asset or is this a liability?
It's a powerful filter to consider applying.
Definitely food for thought. We encourage you to keep exploring these ideas and see how or if they fit into your own financial journey.